Hello everyone and welcome to another Pauper video, and this time I'm going to be playing Jeskai Gates, and this list made a 5-0. I believe it was a top 8 on some of the recent Pauper challenge. I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but it's splashing for breath weapon, of course, on the sideboard. It's just kind of safe, pretty safe, let's say, because we have 10 lands that can cast those breath weapons. We also draw a bunch of cards with the Modern Age, Brainstorms, and this deck's pretty simple to play. It's a control slash mid range deck that wants to finish with the Basilisk Gate pumping our Lifelink or evasion threats, and also you wanna be playing Brainstorms with Squadron Hawks as an amazing interaction, like also the Modern Age with Prismatic Strands and Secret Cats. So the the only change I made in the sideboard, the only two changes I made to the sideboard, I add one more breath weapon, one more dispel, sorry. And I took out, I believe it was 2 extra copies of Hydroblast. It was 2 blue elemental blasts. I believe that was the change, but the main deck is the same. And the link to this exact list is gonna be on the comments. And I don't think there's much to say about this deck. And I'm gonna play the PCT with this exactly list. Let's see how it does. So let's see the matches, and then we're gonna be back to the conclusion. Okay, this is the first match, and we are against GRIXIS Affinity. My opponent mulligans to 605, and we could keep a good hand, but against a control deck like that, like Affinity, I guess we need to try to protect our creatures, and especially when you're playing call gates that you don't have that much threats. And my opponent doesn't seem to have any problem with uh, his colors. He got the blue, black, and red already. So yeah, I remember this turn. My opponent just tried to his land drop, and I think he was able to find a land. I don't know if it's correct to just run the secret cat like I did, but anyway, I haven't played call gates in a while, so I made a I I will not say many mistakes, but I made some mistakes. Here we discard the strands. It's obvious discard, and also keeping counter spell open to a draw spell. Now spell bomb is a bad card. It's a bad card, but I don't want to counter. I was thinking about I can counter this, but if my opponent resolves another draw spell, even sacking the refurbished familiar is it's kind of bad because it and Cloud Shaman is kind of bad, but because we only have the Squadron Hawk that doesn't get hit by the Cloud Shaman, but every single other threat we have just disappears. But and the tough thing is Sacred Cat is just one toughness. So at this point right here, we just need to, I don't know, maybe I could try attacking, maybe my opponent loses a creature, just keep doing one damage, gain 1 life. I decided to play the Squadron Hawk, and I think I'm gonna attack. Pretty sure I'm gonna attack here. I'm trying to not showing my Basilisk Gate until the turn I can play and activate it effectively. My opponent's not expecting the Basilisk Gate. Yeah, I just attack, opponents take the damage. Opponent is a tap land, 3 cards in hand. Another Heal Spell Bomb. This is bad because now we need to try to, and Mirror Enforcer is also kind of bad. But I just hold my counter spell because I want to protect my creatures now. And my opponent, I guess he did wrong here. You don't need to attack with the Kraken Shaman. All he was trying to force me to block with the Hawk, and then he just uh, used the Kraken Shaman to kill my Sacred Cat. So then I just try to keep my Hawk alive with the Prismatic Strands. My opponent let, so if my opponent sack one, he would lose the Kraken Shaman. I would lose the Sacred Cat, but I would have used my Prismatic Strands something at least, and not just losing to the Night Hill Spellbomb. Now I just get down my Basilisk Gate, I pump, and a 5/5 is not going to be killed by Affinity unless my opponent has cast downs. And I attack for 6, gaining 5 life. And at this point in the game, maybe my opponent has a Galvanic Blast in hand or a bargain. If it's a bargain, I'm gonna dispel. You're gonna dispel. I drew another dispel. I can't just use it. At this point that the game is, I don't think it's over, but it's just semi over. I think we can say that. Opponent can draw 2 cards, but if my opponent tries to sack something to draw 2 cards, I'm gonna dispel, of course. I still have 3 Squadron Hawks in hand that my opponent cannot respond with Caracal Shaman, and I think it's pretty good. The problem here is my opponent finding a Blood Fountain when I don't have my Tribune Charm or Counter Spell open, so that would be bad. But at this point, I remember, I think I'm gonna pump. I just continue to pump and attack with both creatures, but I think I made a mistake. I don't attack with the Hawk at some point. At some point, I'm gonna stop attacking with the Hawk. I don't know why, if I remember correctly, but essentially at this point, I just don't need to stop attacking with the Hawk. Just because this trade with the Refurb is just good for me. And here I'm just gonna attack and pass with Current Spell open, I believe. Yeah, there's no reason to play the Modern Age or another Hawk. My opponent cannot win this race, obviously. My opponent has 2 cards in hand if he wants to crack the relic, not relic, but the spell bomb. But I don't have anything in the graveyard, so it's just a spell bomb being wasted or cycled in that case. And taking 6, I'm not worried about my life total because again, we cannot lose the race. My opponent has a removal in hand at this point. It's kind of clear because if you play Affinity, what kind of card? What kind of card you? Sorry, what kind of card you're gonna be holding at this point of the game? I think this is a. I don't remember the card for sure, but I think it is. I'm gonna discard here a Squadron Hawk, maybe. Yeah, Squadron Hawk. I don't know if this was the correct discard, but okay. I cannot pump at this point. I don't know if this was correct, but my opponent has 1 card in hand. I was thinking about I need to have the counter spell and the dispel open, and I still cannot lose this race. Next turn we can play the Outlaw Magic and keep attacking. Like play the Outlaw Magic and buff. No, no, we cannot. We need to draw land. I think I'm gonna counter spell this. It's it worth the counter spell, of course. Now my opponent has 1 card in hand and potentially 1 more with the spell bomb. And I think my opponent has a removal in hand because this Toughcast he just drew in that turn. And that card he's holding is a removal. I'm pretty sure that that card is a removal. On this card, I think another Squadron Hawk maybe with Turban Sharp. No, not a Squadron Hawk. I don't think this the Squadron Hawks being discarded are like good. A good way of discard for the modern age, but anyway, I'm gonna pump. I need to pump because no, I still have counter spell and dispel. So my opponent will not resolve anything. Even if my opponent draws a removal now and having another removal in hand, he's not gonna resolve those removals. But I don't think it is worth the counter spell, to be honest. I don't know. Now my opponent can double block, but I still don't think it is worth to my opponent to go double block. I don't know. This is hard because we have a lot of cards. We have our pump, we have our life gain, and my opponent doesn't have that many recursion right now. He needs to find like a let's see yeah. My opponent doesn't know that I have a counter spell in hand. But at this point, I'm just gonna dispel it. I don't know if that's worth it because my opponent has one card in hand, and my opponent is not have not drawn a land in so many turns. I believe like 3, 4 turns, not without drawing a land. 6 land, 3 turns, or at least. Yeah. So at some point, my opponent is gonna draw lands. Now he has 2 cards in hand, and yeah, bumping the cat, and we could brainstorm here. We could brainstorm and put to the top like outlaw medic. No, not medic, but yeah, the medic and the squadron hawk. Join the hawk and shuffle the medic back to the deck because I don't think the threat density is going to be a problem against Affinity. My opponent's going to try to draw. I'm going to counter. Yeah, then my opponent just used GGs. And the sideboard here was simple. I guess I was just bringing the extra copy of the spells and 3 dust to dusts. It was like kinda kinda crazy because I just did so fast. Um, you did not bring the counter spell. I took out the Driven Shaman. I don't know if that was a good idea, but I brought the spell, 3 dust to dusts, and what was the other thing? Oh, the 4 hydrobasts. But what to take out is kinda, I mean, it is kinda interesting, but I think I'm gonna take out all the prismatic strands. I don't know if this is correct because my opponent can try to bring in breath weapons, but we are loaded with answers to breath weapons. We have literally 9 cards that answers breath weapon. We have 2 counter spells and 7 other 1 mana counters. So we took out the prismatic strands, and I think I took out a no, it's for sure I took out a journey to nowhere because the only the only creature I want to journey is a mirror enforcer at some point, and this we kept a very slow hand, but my opponent starts with a blood fountain, something that I don't want to see because at some point, you know, it, journey is nice against blood fountain, and affinity cannot destroy journey, so. Yeah, maybe it's a mistake to take out the journey, but I was thinking about taking out anything else like one outlaw medic, but I think uh, cutting a threat density is not a good plan against affinity. Discarding the sacred cat maybe or land sacred cat. It could. This is not that easy. Okay, we can consider keeping the cat because affinity is gonna have a lot of removal. I think this guy plays GRIXIS Affinity with Arms of Adar on the sideboard, but I think it's not he just don't do not block against the all gates. And we discard the land and trying to put some threats, develop some threats in the modern age and playing the outlaw medic. See, my opponent's playing like he has a good hand with 3 cards in hand, but now no draw. Why my opponent just played just this way of tapping here just makes me feel like he has like 2 Pyroblasts or something like that. Why not letting one black mana? You paying colorless mana, but just pay 2 black. So opponent maybe showing us that he has 2 Pyroblasts or Pyroblast and Galvanic Blast. But anyway, I'm gonna take 5. At some point, I'm gonna make a mistake just blocking the Mirror Enforcer. I don't know why I just do that. I think I was and I blocked with the Outlaw Medic. I think I was thinking about drawing a extra card, but I think that was wrong. Just a spoiler. But I just drew 2 Hydroblasts and 2 Brainstorms with no Hawk. So those Brainstorms are maybe not ideal. And we have only 2 blue mana. So yeah, this might be a little uncomfortable, but we're gonna make treasure. My opponent's doing nothing. 3 cards in hand, doing nothing with affinity. You have to be sitting on Pyroblast. And so we are just armored to the core with the with 3 Hydroblasts. And we discard a brainstorm. Yeah, this okay. We're going to attack. No, of course not. He has a 5/5, not attack. We could try to pump the creature, but my opponent just has a removal and attack for 5 is not that good because opponent might have 2 Galvanic Blasts in hand, maybe, and a 5/5, and I am at 16. So I need to be aware of this play. And also makeshift munitions. I'm gonna take this 5 here, but this attack makes me feel like my opponent has another Mirror Enforcer, but I have Journey to Nowhere, so I'm fine. And Toxin Analysis, okay, you can gain life. Well, you can gain a bunch of life, opponent. And a Toxin Analysis offensively is like less bad than he is defensively. Yeah, another Mirror Enforcer, which is no surprise. My opponent's gonna tap the black and the blue mana, and the black and the blue land to equip. We can bet on it. You see? And I was not remembering that. Uh, I'm just saying right now because my opponent has 2 Parablats in hand, or maybe 2 Galvanics or a mix of them. Now I'm gonna start pumping. I'm gonna pump the Outlaw Medic because I have 2 treasures. I have a bunch of mana, so it's fine. I'm gonna pump for 6/8. It's a pretty big guy. Opponent's attack for 5, but I think I'm going to journey. I first attacked because if my opponent wants to like block and then Galvanic, I'm fine. I'm gonna counter Galvanic. He's gonna lose. It's gonna be just a chump block. Okay, that is good for me. But now I'm gonna journey. I'm gonna journey the Mirror Enforcer, and okay, opponent is not gonna sack because it doesn't have any black mana to sack. He's gonna crack the clue, of course, and let's see. Opponent's gonna be 5 cards in hand or 4 cards in hand. And he has the Blood Fountain, but I just removed the Mirror Enforcer with the Journey. Maybe the Journey was a bad cut by me Paul Jordan is, on this matchup. It is a slow matchup. It is a slow match because Calgates cannot just like spank Affinity in a few turns, and also Affinity cannot spank any Calgates decks, any Calgates deck in a few turns. We have this Dust to Dust. I believe the Dust to Dust is gonna be on the black mana. I don't know if that was correct because I was already just reading that my opponent needed those blue and red mana to play whatever Galvanic Blast or Pyroblast he has in hand. So I, at some point, not in this turn right now, but I think in the next turn, at some point I'm gonna this two lands, which is, I think it is a bad play because I was trying the dash the Galvanic, I'm gonna counter, but I think this on the black lands was also not that bad because I was debating with myself. Do I go for the Galvanic Blast or Pyroblast mana? That I can answer those Pyroblasts and Galvanic Blasts with my Hydroblasts. So I was not afraid of this, and this is just getting done right now. And that's why my opponent just used all the red answers that he has. So now maybe I can dust the black land so my opponent cannot draw cards like with the 2 mana instant spells. But I was debating the debate with myself, so in the end this makes sense, because now my opponent has the blue mana there, but I don't wanna get his red mana. I wanna get his black mana because is the Affinity has like 6 to 7 black spells that draw cards and refurbish familiars. And also this guy, he plays like um unexpected things in his sideboard, and I think he brought. I'm remembering. He brought the unexpected things. I think he's gonna play right now. No, not gonna play because he could play and just attack, start gaining life. But of course, I'm gonna be able to gain more life than him. And this, he draws a bunch of cards with the blue cards. But I think at this point, I should have like dust the blood fountain and the mirror enforcer and just keep attacking, just like put the max pressure I could. Want to just jump blocks. I just yeah. I played this match, but I just don't remember exactly how it went. Not exactly, but I remember most of things. I'm gonna get rid of the black lands anyway. No, oh, I I'm surprised. I just get rid of the red lands. I think I was thinking about more galvanic blasts and maybe makeshift munitions. I can counter the makeshift munitions, but I don't know. I can destroy the munitions also. And since my opponent will have only, yeah, my opponent will find the red man anyway. More Karakans. I think my opponent just took out the Karakan Shamans, but doesn't make sense. I'm gonna counter this. Yes, I will because I have cat on the grave and one cat in the hand. So yeah, hmm, maybe I could have, yeah, and I have another outlaw medic in my hand. I think I should have let my opponent destroyed my outlaw medic and just draw a card. But my opponent has 5 cards in hand. Maybe there's a cast down there. More threats. This is nice. Also, I'm not gonna complain about more threats. But I don't know why I was kinda afraid of Karakon Shaman. That's why I just don't. I don't deploy all the Sacred Cats and Outlaw Medics at once, and in that my opponent followed that up with the Spell Bombs. I just cooked. Gonna gain a bunch of life. I don't know if I played correctly this, but anyway, I'm gonna play the Medic and one cat, I believe. Because if my opponent finds a Kraken Shaman, if he's playing that, yeah, this kinda annoying, but it's okay. Two cats in the graveyard. Now I think I need to cast those cats because if my opponent finds a spell bomb, it's really bad. I think I'm gonna do that on the next turn, depending on my draw. If I draw a counter spell or any counter spell, maybe I another mirror force. This is the I think this is the third mirror enforcer. Or the second, I don't remember. A land is gonna sit in my hand because of course I don't want to discard this Sacred Catch or another refurbished familiar, especially when my opponent has a Blood Fountain on the battlefield. I'm gonna draw a card. Okay, another Law Medic. I'm gonna play the Outlaw Medic, of course. I can attack with the Vector Glider, and I will. Another Basilisk Gate would be our best draw, I believe. I will even play this island. Three, four, five. We have six land, 8 lands. 8 land is nice because we pay two to one and two to another one, so six, and we spare 2 mana open at some point before we draw a counter spell. But 6 mana is nice with 2 gates. There's the unexpected things. This is going to be kinda. I don't know if I should say. I don't know if I should say close game, but I think this was kinda close at some point because my opponent is gonna start to answer all my creatures. Affinity just draw a lot of cards, and now Blood Fountain, my opponent can return a Mirror Enforcer, and that's the only card he can return. Yeah, this at this point with half my opponent's deck being played and no card shamans being being seen, I think my opponent just side out the hotness drag. Yeah, I think this was the probably the worst lottery reveal draws that Calgates can might have because three Squadron Hawks, very nice draws, and that was sad. One catch to from the graveyard, I believe. Yeah, that's what I need to do because I need to attack my opponent. But also, I need to play this cat. And this was a mistake. I just needed to play that cat. I keep playing wrong and I don't play those cats. Oh no, I was thinking about Breath Weapon or Arms of Adar. That's why they don't kill my magic and my Vector Glider. But anyway, I was just afraid of losing all the cats and the Squadron Hawks. I I made like almost zero card advantage from those hawks because I drew three and I played my first hawk. I had 3 hawks in hand already, so kinda bad. No, no, I don't know if this was a good play because my opponent can return the Mirror Enforcer and this Refurbished Familiar with the Blood Fountain, but my opponent just starting to gain a bunch of life. Like I don't know if this was a good play by my opponent. Maybe it was, but he could let it go and on the backs and just in my EOT, he could Blood Fountain another mirror and the Refurbished Familiar that would die. So he could play the Mirror Enforcer and just go for the Mirror Enforcer with the Inspected Fangs instead of the Refurbished. Recurring Bargain and a counter spell. I don't know why. I don't know if this was a good target for the counter spell at this point. I think it was. A draw spell is gaining life is kind of ugh. This was was bad. But anyway, now we need to play a cat and a hawk. I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna play the cat right now. Yeah, I will. I just have done this in the next turn. The last turn. Hmm. Now my opponent's gaining 8 life per turn. And we are gaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7. And we can gain 7. But I'm gonna attack with the cat token, I believe. I don't need to block anything, but I'm just mistaking blocking here. I don't know why. I think I was afraid of Galvanic Blast, but my opponent played 3 Galvanic Blasts already. I don't know why I just blocked that. Maybe Munitions? Yeah, Munitions could be a really good job for our opponent. He can clear my board and also kill me at some point. No, it was more of clearing my board, and not killing me with the munition specifically, because you would need to sack a lot of artifacts to clear my board. But it's yeah, 2 Basilisk Gates are pretty tough for our opponent. He's gonna kill my creature. Oh no, he's gonna draw something. Yeah, my opponent has now 19 cards in the deck. I have 29. I'm 10 cards ahead in the deck. My opponent just don't give a shit and drawing cards a bunch, drawing a bunch of cards. And now we're getting 16. At this point, there's no way we can lose unless my opponent just kill all my creatures with some way. Yeah, don't want to take 8. Gonna like recurring body and another draw. Okay, and I take a bunch. In this race, I think we cannot lose. At this point, we cannot lose. If my opponent just keep attacking and I just racing, my opponent not gonna win. And I don't think it's nice for my opponent to just get back all those refurbished familiar. My opponent just find another refurbished. Yeah, my opponent has all refurbished. And I don't think it's nice to draw the cards from the refurbished, and there's the munition. This is bad. But I think I'm going to draw the Hydro Blast in my turn, I believe. One's attack for 8. Another things or what? Munitions. Trying to kill the cat. I don't know why he did that just now. I think it's just to prevent a champ block. Since I'm seeing the munitions and the cat's going to die to the munitions. But anyway, now I think it's time to trying to first pump the magic. My opponent's. I don't think this was a good play right here. I think my opponent just need to use munitions to kill my creatures. Okay, that's the way my opponent would win the game there. Just tap your mana to sack a bunch of mana to kill my creatures. I'm not gonna play the cat from the graveyard, of course. I'm gonna blow the munitions. I try to make it sack something, but my opponent just did not, and now munitions is kinda useless because he would need to sack 3, and now I'm forcing him to sack something to the munitions. He's gonna sack the seat. I don't know if that was I think that was a mistake by me, but I should have done just double pump the medic. I think that was a mistake, clearly a mistake. But anyway, I just have so much gain life gain. I'm gonna, yeah, tox analysis, okay. I'm gonna kill my creature. I'm gonna draw a card. Was it dispel? Nice draw. This was a very nice draw. I'm gonna kill the munitions and play the cat. And affinity runs only one munitions. So bye bye munitions, never more gonna be seen. My opponent has 5 minutes on 5 minutes and a half on a clock, and this dispel is just good for now. And we are like 2 minutes, 1 minute and a half. Yeah, we are ahead on a time, so my opponent doesn't seem to be worried about the time. And I am at some point that I'm gonna block the 3-2 because I'm waiting to my one of my no, I just had to block there. I don't know why I don't block that. And my opponent's gonna try to get back the munition, the Forbid Familiars to draw more cards, just to pressure me out. But drawing cards when I have 13 cards on the deck is not that. I don't think that's a very good idea. I'm waiting for the dust to dust to remove those 2 mirror enforcers because I'm gonna block this 3-2 familiar lifelinker with my vector glider. Yeah, another gate is fantastic. If my opponent doesn't have a removing hand, he's in bad shape, really bad shape. And I am trying to pump first because life here doesn't matter. My opponent doesn't have any Galvanic Blast left in either munitions. So, no, my opponent has one Galvanic Blast left. Yeah, but opponent might think, only one. No, only two Basilisk I can handle. It's a great pump, but it's okay. But then I just play the third one, and then things get green from our opponent. 23, man. Ugh, big. I just need to block those two familiars. It doesn't want me to gain that life, right? No, he could sack, but he doesn't have mana. If he had mana, he could sack, but my opponent gonna draw a card. He's gonna draw a card. Fantastic. It could be a good play to take out the journeys instead of the prismatic strands and just keep the strands to save my creatures from galvanic blasts. It could be a better sideboard plan, but the journeys can just take away those mutant forces forever because my opponent has the blood fountains. So I don't think that's too relevant. My opponent keep drawing cards. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna draw one of my two Dust to Dust left, and life's gonna be easy. Draft cast opponent, 7 cards in the deck. Okay, you have guts. You got guts. Let's see if it's gonna pay up. My opponent has 3 minutes on the clock. I'm like almost 3 minutes ahead. This is game 2. My opponent's gonna lose on time. I think you guys just know. You guys know, so you guys realize what's going on, but Anyway, opponent's attacking. I think he's gonna be like unexpected things the other Muir Enforcer. I'm pretty sure. I said my opponent played two runs two unexpected things on his sideboard. He's gaining a bunch of life, but if he doesn't have removal, I'm gonna gain a bunch of life too. And he's digging for his last copy of Galvanic Blast. That could win him the game if he removes if he can remove this cat. And I think he found it. I think he found it. Yeah, I remember trying to remember now. I think he found it the last Galvanic. I pump first because it doesn't matter at this point. Just no. Yeah, I could have just hide that land in my hand just to take some counter spell, something like anything. But at this point, my opponent cannot. My opponent cannot not try to destroy my creature if I try to pump, and I will. So it's not a card that I'm hiding on my hand, threatening a counter spell. That's gonna be my opponent think about not trying to kill. So that doesn't make any much sense to hold that land. But the 3 life, the 3 extra life that I'm gonna be gaining is irrelevant at this point. You're at 58 life. You could be at 55, so that's not relevant. I think my opponent knows the game is over, but anyway, he has 2 minutes. He keep attacking. I'm gonna take 11. He's gonna gain 11. My opponent's life is life total is high, but we can if we find it to this, even if my opponent had more cards in hand, more cards to play, like no removal but in no threats, and even more threats, we would gain. Uh, what you would have like gain so much life that 47, 47 life is a pretty high life total. If I find my dust list now, I just take out the 2 life linkers and GG. But no, I'm gonna try to attack. I cannot just sit and block. I think I'm gonna try to. I think I'm gonna just attack. I believe. Yeah, pumping, but and just enough to the counter spell. This was kind of funny. 3 pumps, 3 Basilisk Gates activation, and exactly 2 mana open. Oh God. Yeah, but I keep attacking. Of course, at this point, I cannot gain life. So my opponent can kill me, of course. It doesn't have any more Galvanics. And at this point, I have all the answers I need to any removal my opponent can have. But I could just like pump twice. But I think I'm gonna and just pump attack for what? 21 plus 20. I don't know what. Almost 30. 2 more turns for me to win my opponent, but opponent's gonna attack for 15, 15, and plus 15 next turn. But I just all my opponent hopes just my opponent could have a negate, but what kind of spell and this spell. This is brutal. Just double pump. which again leaves us with counter spell. And now my opponent drew the last card in his deck, and I think that's CG. Played off cast. Just played off cast to lose. Yeah, this was the first. This was the first match, I believe. Yeah, I think it was this was the first match from the PCT. And let's see the next one. It was against Mono Red Madness, and I just kept a okay hand. I don't have the Basilisk Gauge to effectively gain life, but we can find it. I just don't like the lands being kind of slow. Not being slow. I was thinking about the Zip Gate. It was a tap land, but it is actually a untapped land. Nice choice of my opponent for a mountains. And okay, opponent attacks for one. We're gonna play. I think I'm gonna play Outlaw Magic, just forcing my opponent to kill my creature, and I draw a card, trying to draw extra lands, finding more land drops. Opponent's kind of flooded because this play is showing me that my opponent's flooded. It's just carrying a land at the turn two. Yeah, we found, but we just have one colored mana. I think we need to draw cards, and it could be the modern age also, because we will be develop our threats. To three flying creature that can block every single creature my opponent plays, my opponent attacks with, including the snackers. But I was thinking about just trying to draw extra cards because my opponent would obviously kill the outlaw medic. Freelance, good as snipe would be not that scary. I now we're gonna modern age. I think we're going to discard the Traben Charm and not the Guardian of the Guild Pact, because at some point I can try to resolve the Guardian of the Guild Pact, but I might be wrong. Might be just the guard. No, it was the Traben Charm. And I wanted to find the extra land and another colored land. Next turn we can discard the Guardian if you draw the card off from our draw steps. Happens to be better, but when it's attacking 4 mana, the fourth land, no. I don't know why my opponent just discard that land. This deck wants to play with 4 lands. You're gonna be able to play. I think we're gonna to discard the Guardian or the Squadron Hawk. It could be the Hawk and play the Guardian. Yeah, that's the play. Or no, no. Now we can discard the Guardian. Depending on I'm gonna. It could be the Guardian. No, it was a cat. I don't know if there was a. But it could be the Guardian. Now we search for the all the 2 Hawks that we have left, and let's see. I think at this point we are kind of safe. It would be bad if my opponent finds a good snipe. Opponent, good snipe. But we have removal. Fiery temper to the face. Hmm. If my opponent try to lava dart something in my EOT like the hawk, I don't have a game. I need to play that cat at some point. Another cat. I discard another cat. I don't know if that was the correct play. Hmm. We can attack with the hawk. My opponent is gonna bolt my face. This is kinda sketchy. I'm gonna pass because I need to counter something, and I'm still sitting on only 2 colored mana. Unfortunate. I'm gonna counter this snipe because I need to counter this. There's no way. It's game one, so my opponent doesn't have any Pyroblast. It's safer to just counter this guy. Not attacking, of course. I can I I can cycle to another island. I could have got the dual land there, but I don't think that was necessary. Another 2/3, that's nice. Here we could brainstorm, but yeah, we're gonna brainstorm. At this point, we can just like put not all, but like the gates there. We could have, we could just put the Squadron Hawks, but I just don't want those lands. I don't need those lands. I just shuffle that back. But you could also be one land and one hawk, one land and the hawk to the top, and just pass with mana open. But I think I'm gonna play a hawk here, or maybe a cat. This mana is kind of confusing. Yeah, play the cat, maybe a hawk. Okay, I'm gonna play the hawk and just leave the blue mana open. Yeah, I'm gonna just gonna shuffle those lands back because I don't need that much lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna pump plus 5/5. That's enough to win the game, especially against Madness. But I think I should have discarded this Guardian of the Gilded Pack a long time ago. Yeah, at this point, we try to pump the cat, obviously. That's what our deck's trying to do. My opponent's gonna kill it, of course. And, Lavadar is bad. Lavadar is bad. But that's okay. And we play another Sacred Cat. We just attack with we just attack with 4. Bring my opponents to 13. And we play another Hawk and the Sacred Cat, I believe. Yeah. Just to maximize our creatures. We still can just block with the Vector Glider. Opponent finds a or plays and finds a and the festivity is kinda bad. Ugh. When I found another good snipe. Ugh. Lava dart my face. But he's gonna have 1. I think I'm gonna be at 1 life. Opponent sent lucky on the side on the chat. I don't know why. Of course I'm gonna block. I'm not stupid. Because a fire blast at 6 life killed us. My opponent might sitting on a fire blast and a land. I believe. Yeah. My opponent needs to fly fire blast or this is so bad. I have the removal in the counter. Ugh. Opponent not gonna like this. Yeah, is it? I fire the blast. Oh my god, I shouldn't dispel it. Just dispel this. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah. GG, so the sideboard we just all the Hydros, took out all the dispels. I don't know if the cutting the dispels was the correct play, but anyway, I just tried. And I brought the Quality Honor Guards because they're such a good cards. A good like you just fog your opponent's damage like for two burning spells, a bolt and a dart, half dart. I just took out the Guardians. I'm gonna bring back the dispels. I don't know why I did that. I think this is not a good. I took out all the Turbine Charms also. Yeah, and I just brought the spells. I was thinking about the spells because the only way my opponent can answer my creatures with the in the time of the pump is with instant spells. So even Lava Dart, I just if my opponent has a Lava Dart in the graveyard and just stepped out, I just dispel the Lava Dart, and I can attack for with the Life Linker. I'm trying. I think I need more lands. Yeah, this Hydroblast might serve us good right now. Maybe if I think one's gonna plot a robbery. He plot a robbery on turn 2, and now on turn 3 he's gonna plot another robbery. This is dangerous with the get a snipe at some point. Especially if you had some snackers, at least one snacker. In a brainstorm, since we have a squadron hawks, you can just put double squadron. I don't think I'm gonna do that because yeah, we need to put the both squadron hawks because you're gonna play a tap land. We need to leave double blue for the counter spell and the spell Hydroblast. I cannot play this hawk right now, so it doesn't matter the cards I'm gonna put on top of my deck. This brainstorm was not bad, but it was not that good also. The best brainstorming that you can go for with the Squadron Hawk, I think, is when you have a bunch of mana. Oh, not 4, 6, 5 mana. I don't know, and that you just play you just brainstorm, draw 3, and you put all the Squadron Hawks back in your deck, and you leave one Squadron Hawk in your hand. Of course, that's a play that you have access like when you have your Squadron Hawks in hand, you search for the 3 or 4 Squadron Hawks, at least one or two, because you can put one Squadron Hawk on the top with a useless card, or you can put double Squadron Hawk on the top of a deck and play one and just search for nothing, and well, not nothing. You get the Squadron Hawk and shuffle the other card, or you just get all the Squadron Hawks and put in the top of the deck. Of course, you can just play a Squadron Hawk and shuffle your deck and just get away with those 2 useless cards while you have like a all the Squadron Hawks in hand. You just should search for nothing and shuffle the deck. So it is a very good interaction, brainstorm with Squadron Hawk, but also it's not that easy to take all the card advantage this interaction could give. But uh, next turn we can play the Secret Cat, and still leave the counter spell in the spell. One has a Lava Dart, Highway Hobby. My opponent has no luck because he didn't find a Sneaker's Knacker yet. He does find it. I don't know if my opponent has resolved that first Highway Hobby, but he did resolve this one. and he's not discarding any sneaky snackers, so he's not finding his snackers. 2 more mana, grab the prize, not the snacker, another lava dart, and yeah, I just don't want to take this 2 damage, and my opponent is having only 3, is not, my opponent have only 3 cards in hand, has 3 cards in hand, now 2, but we are at 14. I just don't want him to draw 2 cards and deal me 2 damage. And I need to find the Basilisk Gate. Yeah, I don't. I swear, guys, I don't remember exactly how the games went. And each turn, each draw, of course. And I was not remembering that I would draw the Basilisk Gate in this turn, the turn 5. I just was thinking about, okay, I have 4 gates, not 4, 3 gates, and I need to find the Basilisk Gate. And I just play first the Collection or Guard because my opponent wants to burn spell the Sacred Cat. Need to kill this guy. He is gonna do that. He has a lot of lands. He's gonna go Sacred the Lava Dart there, and still dealing damage to me with the Searing Blade. Searing Blade is very good card against creatures. And also, my opponent has only 1 card in hand, and we still have 2 Hawks in the on Sacred Cat in the graveyard. We're gonna play both Hawks or a Hawk. You need to play the Sacred Cat. That's the Yeah. We're gonna play the Sacred Cat and just leave the spell. There's no way we play a Squadron Hawk here. Yeah, it's not the best user for mana because you don't need 2 mana to use this spell. I'm gonna just pass back. It was not a misclick. Yeah, now my opponent needs an answer. And he said that in the chat to me, I hate to do the Fire Blast. Okay, I'm just gonna dispel. And I think it's GG. Yeah, if my opponent had another burning spell, he just would do the cast the other burning spell. So if I just dispel his Fire Blast, he's not gonna have another Fire Blast. I don't remember. Oh, it was a Pyro. Okay, okay. But it's GG anyway. Like he said in the chat, because he's gonna like kill my creature, but he has no card. If he drew a, I don't know, maybe get a snipe spell, it could be bad. Draw spell, it could be bad. But it's very unlikely because my opponent played 1 get a snipe already, and I have a bunch of hawks and pumps, so I would end the game in like 3 turns. It would be very unlikely my opponent just. He's gonna try to a little more draw the next 2 draw steps maybe, just to see if he can pull that good snipe. He just he draw and pass. Oh, he draw land. Yeah, just draw land. And my opponent is talking about the heroic deck on the chat. Heroic is just very bad for Mono Red Madness. He's very luck based. But I tap it in my face. 8 life. Now I can just I just draw the Collection or Guard. If first, yeah, I don't need I need to. You're gonna play the Collection or Guard because I'm gonna kill my opponent next turn. We cannot kill him this turn. So I'm gonna play the Coalition, another Hawk, another land, and pass the turn. And this was GG. I will hover to discard. And that's GG's. So now we're gonna go for the the conclusion and the final thoughts about the deck, about this this tournament, this Pauper event that I run. I just won the Pauper event. I just run 4-0, and there was two more matches. Like against Blue Ferris. It was a very long game, very long match. I just decided not to show. And also another very long game was even longer than the Affinity matchup, and it was against a Mardu synthesizer. Yeah, so let's go for the conclusion. Okay, we are back to the conclusion and some insights about the deck, some considerations. So first of all, I think we need to play for this guy. This guy is insane. He dies and you draw a card, and he has lifelink. Is a 1/3. I don't know. This guy's so good. I would play one more of this guy and taking out one Tribune Charm. And yeah, the rest of the deck's just fine. I'm not fine, but very good. And this configuration of two Colonel Spells main, two side, I like. I think this is pretty good, but I would like to have four current spell main and those two guardians on the sideboard. This is the change I would made also. And in the sideboard, it's kind of difficult to say, but I think playing 3 dispel 75 it's okay, it's enough. But I don't know, if you want to play for the fourth spell, I think it's okay too. So you can take out one Collisional Guard. I think with the fourth spell would be nice, just because this deck, you want to pump only on your turn, and you can't pump on your opponent's turn. So as you pump, sorry, as you could see in the matchups, and a lot of time your opponent is going to be removing your creatures, and this is only by an instant spell. So the spell playing as a 4-off on the 75 is just too good, because you always gonna be protecting, and also 8 counter spells, like four counter spells and 4 dispels post board against removal have decks, and it's just good because your opponent is gonna be always trying to go instant speed removal. They're gonna wait until you spend 3 mana, this land, and two more mana to pump a creature, and then he's gonna try to remove. And only one mana, you just counter that interaction, or just counter spell that the good old one. So I think you can take out one. It's a change that I would make. They take out one Collisional Guard to play another dispel, and also take the other copy of Collisional Guard to play the third copy of the Turban Sham that you would take out from the main deck to play another magic, playing on the sideboard. So I think this is the changes I would make. Maybe taking out one breath weapon to play one more hydro, and or maybe even one more dust to dust or a monarch. Like, I don't know. The list could be quite different, but I think this 75 it's a good way to start. And the changes I just suggested right now, and could be a way to start. Also playing for medics, no guardians in the main deck and on the sideboard, and also guardian in the main deck. I don't like, because Pauper is a very fast. It's so fast right now. You have elves, you have spies, you have like mono red rally. You have a lot of aggro decks combos. Not that much combos, but combo decks. And Guardian is a 4 mana guy. Just kind of clunky. But in some matches, this guy is gonna be winning the match like by itself. He's just gonna carry. But for that to happen, and you're gonna be playing, you want to be playing this guy on the sideboard. So I think this is the best way to play Guardians on Calgates, is playing on the sideboard or playing only one main deck. Okay, so I think this is my consideration about the deck. So if you watch the video to the end, if you like my channel, like my videos, just please subscribe to the channel to help me out. And that's it. Until the next video. Bye.